Alright, so today in 2020 things are a little bit crazy. But overall, it's good to make sure that you have a safe form of transportation in these times of uncertainty, whether that be a bike, the bus, or an automobile. And today we're going to be going off in the case of that you own an automobile and learning and knowing how to maintain and take care of that automobile is an essential skill that will almost indefinitely help you down the line. So today we're going to be changing the oil in this Chevy GMC truck, and I'm gonna walk you through it. I'm gonna walk you through it step by step, and making sure that you have the oil changed in your car is incredibly important. It's like the lifeblood of the engine, and without it, things can go pretty seriously wrong. So let's start off by making sure you have all the right tools. This right here is the oil wrench, the oil filter wrench, to take the oil filter off. Before we started this video, I already loosened the oil filter off to where I can just hand screw it off to make that just a little bit easier. These are the wrenches that we'll be needing for various bolts and plugs. And this is the oil filter, needed to filter the oil for stuff like metals and other contaminants that will get into the oil and clog up the machining and not make it work as smoothly as it should be working. And this is the oil we'll be using. It's just standard motor oil, not really synthetic or anything like that. We'll be getting into the differences between synthetic and standard and performance oils later on. So come over here. Before we started, we already pre-drained the oil into that oil pan over there. You got to make sure you have one of those, because oil is one of those things that can be that can be a pain to get out if you spill it on stuff that you don't want to get stained. So come over here, and we've got the oil plug right here. Let me get a flashlight. We already pre-screwed that on. So right now I'm gonna tighten that on there a little bit, make sure that it doesn't come out. You want to make sure it's real tight, or else your oil will come out while you're driving, and that's not going to be good. But not too tight so that the next time you won't be able to take it off. Alright, now that that's off, we can take the oil filter off. The oil filter is right here. We'll be bringing, I'm lucky enough to be able to have access to a hoist. It's pretty useful, but if you don't have access to that, then having a good pad for your back, if you're doing like gravel or any other solid floor, is good, and it'll just be a little bit harder. So I'm going to lower it down now. Making sure that you have the correct filter and oil for the specific type of car you own is also required to make sure that you have your car is working well. So down here, right there, is where the oil filter is. I'll be taking that off. So unscrew the cap here to the oil pan. Kind of put the oil pan underneath there so it can catch the excess oil that will come off of when taking the oil filter off. sure that's in the right spot so you don't spill it anymore. That's good. So anyway, taking the oil filter off now. Here's the oil coming out. Get in here. Alright, so this is the old oil filter. Set this over here. Okay. So after that's off, we put the old or the new oil filter on. And it's always good to have it to do is when you're putting on a new oil filter, you take your finger, you kind of grab a little bit of this old oil that's on here, on the old filter, and you just kind of put it over the gasket so it makes a good seal. And contaminants and stuff like that don't get in there early. Flashlight here. There we go. It's a little bit of a bugger to get on there. I don't think it fits on there. Okay, so now that that's done, we can start by putting some oil in the engine. It's important to make sure that the oil is actually in the engine, because without it, it lubricates all the parts of the engine. Without it, things will rub against each other, and it can definitely cause damage to your engine or even ruin it. So we're going to be dumping all of this in here. It's good to make sure you have a funnel. Even though that I have access to a shop, we really couldn't find one, so we're just using half of a soda bottle here. So we'll be dumping all of this oil in here. And once we're done, we just put the cap on, and that'll be it. You've changed your oil. The difference between synthetic oils.
This is 10 minutes.
Okay. Just that's how you change your oil, and I hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time.